EJ screams like a electric quest. Purple kings put to the test. Jedediah flew so high through the vast and starry sky. Hardcore move, no retreat. Failures never taste as sweet. Science lessons learned in fight. Journey on through endless night. Hardcore mode with no retreat. Failures never taste the sweet. Science lessons learned in flight. Journey on through endless night. For the stars, we aim so high. The poor jet did kiss goodbye. For science and purple light, we'll keep flying through the light. Rocket launch with hope so grand. EJ's got the master plan. Thrusters burn to reach the moon. In his eye you see the tune. Orbit dreams won't be delayed. Lessons learned from missions made. Turbo kind will forge a path to the stars beyond this path. For the stars, we aim so high. The poor jet did kiss goodbye. For science and purple light, we'll keep flying through the light. Rocket launch with hope so grand. EJ's got the master plan. Thrusters burn to reach the moon. In his eye you see the tune. Keep flying through the light.
Wait, how long has the music been off? Who stopped the music? What? Who stopped this? All right, well. Oh, okay. Like 20 seconds? Oh, score. All right, cool. Let's turn on the YouTube and then we'll go. All right. We're running a little bit late. So here, let me just shut that. Oh yeah, no, awesome. The music just ended. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Space and Rocket Review. Space and Rocket Review. You two girls, tell your friends. Space and Rocket Review. We didn't do a Space and Rocket Review yesterday, but it is February 11th, 2025, and we're doing one today. The reason why we didn't do one yesterday is because there were too many rocket launches. Well, there was a rocket launch and a supersonic jet test, so kind of wanted to see both of those. So, I have a plethora of space news for you today. A plethora of the space news that happened all throughout the weekend and yesterday. Big rocket review. Big rocket happy. Okay. I guess we could start off with that. We could start off with this video, Phil. That'll work. NASA has a video. Here. Let's see. See what we got. I don't know, Matt.
NASA's
Maybe.
Artemis II is the first crewed lunar mission in over 50 years. 4 astronauts will venture around the moon, preparing humanity for a long-term lunar presence for scientific discovery and exploration. The 10-day test flight will demonstrate a range of deep space exploration capabilities with crew. The mission will prove the Orion spacecraft is ready to keep astronauts alive in deep space and allow the crew and ground teams to practice operations essential to the success of future missions. On launch day, the Artemis II crew suits up, undergoes final checks, and rides in the crew transportation vehicles to Launch Pad 39B at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Stacked on the mobile launcher, NASA's 322-foot-tall SLS, or Space Launch System rocket with the Orion spacecraft awaits the crew,
meters.
having made its 4-mile journey from the vehicle assembly building on the crawler transporter to the pad. The launch team fills the SLS propellant tanks with over 700,000 gallons of liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen and verifies guidance, communications, and avionics. At 12 seconds before liftoff, the hydrogen burn-off igniters fire. About 6 seconds later, the rocket's 4 RS-25 engines ignite. When the countdown reaches 0, the umbilicals retract, giving SLS and the crew in Orion the clearance to begin the journey. The 6 million-pound moon rocket produces 8.8 million pounds of thrust to accelerate towards space. 75% of this power comes from the 2 17-story solid rocket boosters, each producing 3.6 million pounds of thrust. About 2 minutes in, the boosters are released, their solid propellant consumed. The core stage and its RS-25 engines continue to propel Orion and the crew to space. After 3 minutes, the protective fairings surrounding Orion's service module are ejected, exposing its solar arrays. 6 seconds later, the launch abort system is ejected from Orion. The crew has safely reached Earth orbit, though they could still abort using service module engines. About 8 minutes after launch, the SLS core stage engines shut down and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, or ICPS, and Orion separate from the core stage. Orion and the ICPS are now flying free. Orion's 4 solar arrays deploy, powering the spacecraft and charging its batteries for when it moves out of direct sunlight during the journey to the moon and back. After a 90-minute orbit, the engine of the rocket's upper stage, or ICPS, ignites to raise Orion to a high Earth orbit. The Artemis II crew and Mission Control in Houston then began a nearly 24-hour systems check while the astronauts are still relatively close to Earth, familiarizing themselves with their new home for the next several days. Once in high Earth orbit, Orion separates from the upper stage. The expended ICPS and Orion stage adapter serve as a target for a manual handling test called the Proximity Operations Demonstration, preparing future crews for rendezvous, docking, and undocking with other spacecraft. During the demonstration, Artemis II astronauts use cameras and line of sight through Orion's windows to pilot the spacecraft as they approach and back away, assessing Orion's handling qualities, hardware, and software. Following the demonstration, spacecraft data is collected to verify system performance, such as life support, communications, and navigation, ensuring Orion and the crew are ready for the voyage ahead.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Yeah, well,
About 23 hours later, Orion's service module performs the Translunar Injection Burn, or TLI, pushing Orion out of Earth orbit and on an approximately 4-day trip to the Moon. Ultimately, the crew's figure-8 flight path extends more than 230,000 miles from Earth. During the trip, the astronauts continue to evaluate the spacecraft systems and practice emergency procedures like testing the radiation shelter. The Artemis II crew travels about 4,600 miles beyond the Moon, becoming the first humans to lay eyes on the lunar far side in over 50 years. Their observations will help us prepare for future missions at the Moon. During this period, there will be an anticipated communication blackout between Mission Control and the spacecraft. As the crew returns from the far side of the Moon, Orion is drawn home by Earth's gravity in a free return trajectory, ensuring a fuel-efficient 4-day trip. Before entering the atmosphere, Orion's crew module separates from the service module. 12 thrusters ensure Orion is properly oriented at an altitude of about 75 miles from Earth's surface. Orion and the crew enter Earth's atmosphere at a speed of nearly 25,000 miles per hour. Decelerating at a rate up to 4 times the force of gravity, the crew will feel 4 times heavier than they do on Earth. Orion's heat shield protects the spacecraft from temperatures of about 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit,
Oh, yeah?
about half as hot as the surface of the Sun. To slow its descent, Orion begins a precise deployment sequence of 11 parachutes. 3 forward bay cover parachutes first separate the protective thermal cover that sits over the chutes. 2 drogues slow and stabilize the crew module, then cut free. 3 pilot chutes lift the 3 main parachutes, deployed at an altitude of 9,000 feet and traveling 130 miles per hour. These chutes slow the crew module to a speed of less than 20 miles per hour. After traveling more than 595,000 nautical miles, Orion splashes down in the Pacific Ocean, about 50 nautical miles from the California coast, just 16 minutes after entering Earth's atmosphere. After splashdown, a recovery team that includes the U.S. Navy, Air Force, and NASA approaches Orion. The team ensures it's safe for the crew to exit before divers help the astronauts onto an inflatable front porch, hoist them into helicopters, and fly to the recovery ship. Orion is towed into the ship for its return to Kennedy Space Center. Their mission complete, the crew is flown back to land and step on solid ground for the first time in 10 days. This is Artemis II. Learn more about Artemis at nasa.gov/Artemis.
Interesting. Am I going to do another Hearts of Iron 4 video? Yeah, we could do part 2 of the tutorial, Xavier, if you want. Sure. I kind of got us to a point where, like, you could kind of do whatever with Italy, but I suppose we could pick a path and go from there. Question, why isn't SLS using RS-68s? They're not human-rated. RS-68As were not human-rated engines, Lava Eagle. So, NASA determined it... Okay. NASA determined that it would be more difficult to human rate RS-68 engines for SLS than it would be just to use an RS-25 derivative. So That's what they did. It bugs me that the RS-25s and the remaining SSMEs are just discarded. Feels like a disrespect to the engines and everybody that worked on them. It very much is. Lava, yeah. It very much is. It's really annoying. But what are you going to do? So they're recreating the Apollo missions. Artemis 2, guys, is not really like any particular Apollo mission. The closest analogs would be Apollo 9. A combination of Apollo 7, 8, and 9, actually. Yeah, it's like 3 missions in one. Not sure why we thought that was easier, but you know, whatever. It's fine. It's a complicated mission. It's ballsy. This is more ballsy than I wouldn't say more ballsy than an Apollo mission, but it is definitely up there. Engine's an engine. What is there to rate? There's a lot of things uncapping. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to rate with a human rated engine, particularly like abort modes, acceleration, trajectory, stuff like that. RS-68s are an open cycle and they don't have the RS-25 efficiency. One of the big things, another big thing with that is, so they planned on having 5 RS-68s in the core stage of an Ares 5 rocket. Ares 5 is supposed to be a 10-meter core, 5-segment SRBs, 5 RS-68s in the first stage. They would have had problems with the ablative nozzles on the RS-68s. There would have been problems with the ablation. They would have ablated the RS-68s have a nozzle that's basically made out of heat shield. And they would have ablated from the outside. That's a big deal. That's the other reason why they switched over to shuttle engines, which it seems like NASA was trying as hard as they possibly can to not make a new engine. But the truth of the matter is that they need new engines. They needed a new motor, but they threw that out when they threw out Constellation. They had a good idea for the J2X, which is an upper stage engine, but you know. Imagine a hydrogen version of Raptor. That's why the plume isn't completely clear, right? Yeah, pretty much. Also, RS-68s would require more modification to the main propulsion system compared to the shuttle baseline in theory. You need more of them. Though in practice, you'd probably have to start from scratch on it anyway. Bill, we have the benefit of hindsight, and this is why I said, like, okay, this is in context when I first gave my answer. They said it would be less expensive to do that. I don't really understand how that would be less expensive, because in order to get SLS to work, right, you needed to restart the RS-25 production line, and then take all the things that makes an RS-25 reusable and take all that stuff off and make an expendable version, which is called the RS-25E. Now, the RS-25E is fine. Not a bad engine. Pretty dang good. It's basically an expendable version of a shuttle motor. Now, keep in mind, shuttle motors are still very expensive because there's just some things you can't change, like a fuel-rich stage combustion. It's a complicated design to begin with. But, yeah, what other engines did they have at the time, you know? Oh, the J2X would have been an amazing upper stage engine, Matt. But hey, you know, it's fine. We got B3s. B3s are fine. There's a great motor. B3s make like 700 kilonewtons of thrust. It's almost a J2X. It's pretty close. And then 2 of them together is better than a J2X. So 700 kilonewton expander cycles. It's pretty good, man. Now, yeah, SLS is, yeah. Being a shuttle guy, it does bum me out, but I always said I'd trade shuttle motors, used like flown shuttle motors. I'd trade them for boots on the ground on the moon, but I'm not sure if we're gonna get that. But either way, that's the trajectory for Artemis 2. Artemis 2 is a complicated mission, but yeah, it's currently scheduled for 2026. Why didn't they end up reusing the Saturn V engines? They thought it was too expensive. to try and do that, Tyler. It was too expensive. The reality of the situation is that, guys, we had a healthy and thriving propulsion industry in the 60s. It was enough to be able to make F1s, J2s, AJ10s, etc., etc. The shuttle program kind of inadvertently killed it. Nobody developed any new rocket engines after the shuttle, with the exception of some production lines, right? Nobody really developed anything new, right? And then SLS comes around, right? So they used what they had at their disposal, because you always scale your rocket, like your design scales around propulsion, all right? That's the big one. Propulsion is the longest lead item in any spaceflight architecture by a long shot. Propulsion is the biggest one. You don't have engines, you're screwed. That's why, if you cast your mind back to SpaceX a couple of years ago, Elon had that whole company memo about if we don't scale Raptor production, SpaceX could go bankrupt. That's what he was talking about. Didn't they copy some Soviet engines? Not necessarily. Costas, pay attention to what I said. I'm not saying you're not, but I said nobody developed any new propulsion. The shuttle program kind of killed all of our entire propulsion industry, because the shuttle was supposed to replace everything in the 70s, right? So everybody ramped down all the propulsion stuff. And then they ramped it back up in the late 80s. But the damage had kind of already been done. And then the end of the Cold War kind of screwed that as well, but that's another story. So when they went to build these new vehicles in the late 80s, early 90s, the Cold War ended, so they said, oh, we could save money by using Russian propulsion, and we could keep the Russian rocket engineers employed in Russia, so they don't go and work for a potential foreign adversary, right? So long story short, until SpaceX came along, there hadn't been much propulsion. There wasn't really a propulsion, like a rocket engine industry. SpaceX is making it into a cottage industry, which is hilarious to me. I think that's great. But they only had so many. The point that I'm trying to make is that when the time came around to make Constellation and subsequently SLS, there really was only so many things that you could choose from. And somebody thought, instead of modifying the RS-68, which we're producing right now, let's use shuttle motors and completely restart a production line that was basically abandoned in the 90s. Yeah, that's what they did. They restarted the RS-25 production line and ramped down the RS-68 production line. Somebody thought that was cheaper, which is... We have the benefit of hindsight. I'm fairly confident it would have been better to just clean sheet a launch vehicle at this point, but at the time, it seemed like a good idea. Why is NASA making a lot of bad ideas here? I thought we learned cheap was not better. They didn't. Politicians did, Graham. But there's a reason for that. Because, yeah, that's what happens when you throw a monkey wrench in the whole system. But that's another story. I've talked about that many times. I'm actually kind of curious. Would 5 Raptor engines be enough to lift SLS without the solids? No. Not even close. I have 2 questions related to the shuttle project. Sorry in advance for the essay. So I watched a TV show last week where the storyline was revolving around the shuttle. They had 2 things which had you curious. 1, a zipline escape basket from the top of the launch tower. Yeah, every human-rated rocket has that uncapping. In fact, SpaceX at 39A is using the shuttle zipline baskets that were installed in the 80s. 2, a Learjet, or some sort of private jet that they said was modified to fly the approach like the shuttle. They said this was achieved by allowing the engines to operate with the thrust reversers on, with the flaps down, and the gear down in flight. Are these accurate? Yep. Yeah, the slide wire baskets were absolutely a thing. They are still a thing, believe it or not. 39A and 39B have it. SpaceX, interestingly enough. So if you take a look at this picture, right? Oh. Reddit. Oh boy. Pete's sake, get the frick off the screen. It won't let me in bed. All right, so take a look at this picture. You see that right there? See the slide wire baskets? They're all right there. There were 7 of them, 1 for each crew member. All right. This is when 39A was in shuttle configuration. See, because you have your fixed service structure and your rotating service structure here. See those slide wire baskets? Right? Now, let's go pad 39A Dragon. So here's a picture of Falcon 9 on that same pad. Look. SpaceX, that thing was down here. SpaceX quite literally just detached this thing and then remounted it up at the height where Falcon 9 is. Those slide wire baskets are still there, and for whatever weird reason, there's still 7 of them, despite Dragon only having a 4-person crew. Yep. That's what happened. Slide wire baskets are absolutely a thing. The other thing is the shuttle trainer aircraft. Yeah, it's a modified Gulfstream 2. See? Yep, absolutely a thing. They have them at Slick 40, they have them at Slick 41, they have them at 39A. Yep, they're all there. But yeah, Bill, the shuttle contractors wanted to keep making stuff, so they went with shuttle-derived design. He was even going to have F1 thrust class engines. It was so cool. Yeah, I know. So yeah, uncaving, that's all. Those are all real things. Yeah. I know, Bill. I know all about the studies. I've read them. I mean, I haven't read them in a little while. But, where's the nose gear? It's up. They deployed the rear gear, put the flaps down, and put the thrust reversers on to get it to fly like the space shuttle. Do you ever think SpaceX will make a bigger full flow stage combustion cycle engine? Probably not for a little while, but it's possible. Yeah, basically, guys, Artemis 2 should be a good mission. I have a feeling I know why they're putting out all this hype stuff about Artemis. I'm pretty sure it's because of this. Don't they have inflatable slides for 39B? I don't know. I don't think so. I think the inflatable slide is pad 40. So, this is coming from Eric here. Let's see what he's up to. How much do SLS's RS-25 produce? 2,400 kilonewtons. SLS has 35 meganewtons liftoff thrust. So 4 of them, 2.4. So you're making a third of the thrust needed to lift the thing. But that would be with solids. You take the solids off, it's probably like 0.8 or 0.7 TWR. That's off the top of my head, so it's probably not exactly right. Yuri, what's up, man? All right, so kind of wild that this happened, but multiple people have told me Boeing took the step of meeting with employees about SLS layoffs without informing NASA. NASA HQ was caught completely unaware on Friday afternoon when the first story started to appear. Boeing apparently did this to pressure lawmakers to save SLS before the White House takes action. Interesting times ahead. Oh, there you go, Kai Fox. Nice. I don't know. I think that they're, yeah, maybe they're pressuring lawmakers. I doubt it. I mean, lawmakers don't have any power here, so. What are you asking, Trey? If SLS does get canceled, what happens? Kiss the moon goodbye in 2026. It's probably not happening. I don't know. Trey, this is probably one of the most uncertain times in space that we've been in my tenure of covering space news at all. I don't know what's going to happen. I know what I want to happen. I've talked many times about it. But I don't know. That move by Boeing could easily backfire. I think Boeing... Really good post by the space engineer about SLS. I mean, guys, I have thoughts, but I'm trying not to rehash the stuff that I end up talking about every single freaking time. Is that a resub? Hey, Tally! I forgot to put on Starbase Live today. That's unacceptable. There we go. Gotta have my truck noises. Alright, so this is Space Engineer's post about this. What is he saying? Mild rant here, but I don't get why people are so dead set on SLS being canceled and in handing off all the infrastructure to private companies. I agree. I agree with him. That's not a good idea. And I'm saying that as a SpaceX fanboy. It's not a good idea. You're inherently defunding NASA doing that. Like a significant chunk of NASA being defunded. Like we're talking about NASA's budget getting cut in half. That would be not the smartest thing to do. Like, even if SLS as a program was to get canned tomorrow, they wouldn't scrap all that hardware. At the very least, Artemis 2 and 3 would fly to their current plan, possibly 4 as well. That brings these facilities to continue to operate with SLS into the 2030s. So any proceedings for handing off ground infrastructure contractually to private companies, be it manufacturing, space equipment, 39B, test cells, high bays, etc., wouldn't happen for many years. I disagree. Constellation basically evaporated overnight. So no, it definitely can happen. Not to be contrarian to Space Engineer. I like this guy. He's pretty dang smart. Hello from France. Hello, pro. I mean, not to get Rule 8, but isn't defunding NASA kind of par for the course with the current administration? I think fixing things is par for the course with the current administration. Hey, Cal, you're back from surgery and in a world of pain, so make you laugh. All right. Oh, yeah, I gotta have that backup noise. I think fixing things is what their MO is, and I think that, you know, whether, you know, like, guys, I'm not inviting that conversation. I really don't care what you think about the government, and nor should you think what I think about it either. What I will say, though, is this. There are people in higher places of influence here in the government that have a very, very keen understanding of the space program. So just keep that in mind. Someone is backing up the dang trailer. Yeah, yeah. It's Starbase Live, man. You gotta have the background noise so the headset doesn't shut off. Okay, so let's see what else Space Engineer has to say. That is assuming such a handoff would even happen. Bigger thing here is why this community is so dead set on the cancellation. Like, apart from the natural biases and the cost, that's always been my beef with people. There seems to be people that have an axe to grind with this, and I've always advocated for having the most amount of capability in space, no matter what the cost. Because I don't believe that cost is a problem here. I think a leadership is the problem, not cost. But whatever. Like, apart from natural biases and cost, yeah. Is there any practical reason or benefit to canning the vehicle and all of its infrastructure? Bargaining is a weird position to argue from. Especially now at this time, where it's already flown once and will soonish fly a second time with crew. Or is it just, oh, it takes too long so I don't like it? I'm genuinely curious. It's just a great program, albeit obscenely expensive. It's not. It's not obscenely expensive. It's not. Like, everybody, see, this is what I mean. Here, let me finish reading, and I'll explain what I mean. As is literally every government program ever. There you go. And I still haven't seen any justification to killing and scrapping the hardware, as well as putting millions of square footage of factory space to disuse and putting hundreds of thousands of people out of a job while simultaneously killing the point of going back to the moon. See where I'm coming from here. A good chunk of people who read this will probably also think, but what about China if they beat us or something of the like? Killing the SLS program would only give them the upper hand in that regard. They'd get there way faster than it would take for some jerry-rigged commercial vehicle to be developed and serve the same purpose as SLS. I basically agree. You know, here's the other thing, fellas. I don't think SLS is expensive. I really isn't. I really don't think it is. I don't think it's that expensive. I think we see a price tag and we have nothing to compare it to, so a price tag seems comparatively high. Yeah, Lunprod, exactly. I don't think it's expensive. You know, if anybody cares to argue a counterpoint there, my biggest question would be, compared to what? Compared to what? The other moon rockets that we have? What are we comparing this to? What is expensive? We don't know what expensive is because we don't know how expensive it is to go to the moon. You know why? We haven't done it in 50 years. You could adjust costs for inflation if you really want to and kind of surmise an answer from that, but I guarantee you'll look at that and you'll think, "Oh, wow, SLS is actually not that bad." Just saying. Costs money to go to the moon. Costs money to build the infrastructure that you need to build your proverbial transcontinental railway to the moon. That costs money. It costs a lot of money. Billions of dollars. I don't know. There's no way to get around it, guys. There's no way to get around it. To sit here and say that the tasks we want to do to justify not doing hard tasks because it's too expensive is disgusting. And it's a disgusting position that NASA has unfortunately taken over the last 50 years. Like even people that are pro SLS, you know, you're talking through these points and you're like, okay, I get it. It's too expensive. It's too expensive. No, bargaining is stupid. It's not too expensive. It's not too expensive compared to Saturn V, which is the only arguable metric that you could compare this to. It's absolutely not. What SLS needs is to be expanded. It needs to justify that big cost. How do you do that? You do that with results. So, I mean, like, I agree with Space Engineer here, but I think going about it saying, like, okay, I can understand it's too... No, it's not too expensive. The people that are saying it's too expensive have no idea how cost allocation for spaceflight works. Then again, neither does NASA at some times either. But I'd be more inclined to believe NASA than some random on the internet. You know what I mean? Yeah, Liz, exactly. Keep it classy for me if you could. I mean, NASA was blindsided by Boeing's announcement. The latter is obligated by law to notify employees 60 days in advance. They cannot legally do what Elon is doing in the federal government, so this could be precautionary. I think it's precautionary. I don't think Boeing is trying to leverage anyone. I think they really think that there's a possibility that Elon is crazy enough to get that program canceled. Whether he is or isn't, I have no idea. Couldn't tell you. I think EJ needs to testify before Congress on space policy. Hasn't Elon been a supporter of SLS in the past? No, he has not, Thomp. However, his company has a contract that relies on SLS. Starship HLS is a 2.1 or $2.2 billion contract for SpaceX to deliver a lander for NASA for the Orion capsule to rendezvous with so they can land on the moon. Why, oh why, would you tank a program that would inadvertently cost your company billions of dollars? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Why would someone do that? He would not do it. Guaranteed. If he did, well, dude, you're nuts. But hey, whatever. Even discounting the cost, I never like SLS due to Congress designing the rocket, put the whole system into a corner with no long-term future. Apollo was designed by the engineers, not Congress. Yeah, spoiled fruit. That's very easy to say. That's very easy to say, right? Sure, that's low-hanging fruit. That's an easy thing to not like. But you see, at this point, SLS exists, and Apollo doesn't. You can have that rocket designed by the engineers. Okay, if you want to wait 10 more years to develop one that's designed by engineers, or you could have your engineers look at SLS and figure out what it needs to do to sustainably get to the moon 4 times a year. Or you could do that. SLS is not a bad design. The core stage and the 5 segments with 4 shuttle engines is fine. That's good enough. It's not the best. I would argue that the Saturn V is superior pretty much in every metric. But it's good enough. It's good enough to get it to make it work. SLS can be launched 4 times a year. We could scale to it. So let your engine, I agree with you in that regard. But we can't let the engineers clean sheet a design right now. You can't let NASA choose it. What you can do is let NASA choose what they want on top of the rocket that Congress forced them to make. Which is why I say, you got to redo the whole thing. The whole thing needs to be redone. Now, if you ask me, that's why Boeing... If you ask me, that's why Boeing told people about these layoffs. I do not think they're anticipating the program being canceled. I think they're anticipating refactoring of contracts, which does that kind of makes sense for that whole what I want thing. Because I agree. SLS contracts need to be changed. The procurement for that is unsustainable. We're not unsustainable. Let me put it to you like this. You're not getting anywhere going with a rocket that can launch once every year. That is not how you explore space. Why are you beeping? It's the background noise for Starbase Live. And I will turn it down so you guys can't hear it. I keep it on so my headset doesn't time out. IMO probably means that Boeing is getting signals from planning for appropriations bill that would be adopted in March. The question is whether it will survive. I don't think SLS as it stands right now will survive, Baron. I think it needs to be refactored, and I think it needs to be expanded. SLS should be reusable in this day and age. Yeah, yes, let's just take the time to go and build a reusable version of SLS. Okay. No. If we did that, we wouldn't be getting to the moon anytime soon. All right, what do we got here? Via the National. According to NASA's Sean Fuller, Gateway has a lot of support from the White House and Congress amid rumors that the project may be modified or canceled. Take this for what it's worth, especially in this chaotic environment. Or bring back the death trap that is Ares 1. Ares 1 isn't a death trap skeleton, and I'm sick of people saying that it was. It's not a death trap. You think it's a death trap because you read an article by somebody writing about Ares 1 about how they think it's a death trap, but that person has no idea what they're talking about. Any vehicle that's in development is considered a death trap. If you canceled Starship right now, everyone would say it's a death trap because of what happened to Ship 33. That is exactly what happened to Ares 1. It never was fully developed out. I'm sick of people saying, "Oh, you would have killed people." No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't have. But what about the parachutes, EJ? But yeah, the parachutes. The big things that people cite Ares 1 being a dangerous vehicle for, three things. The vibrations is the first and foremost one. NASA was working on a damper. They just didn't finish it. Somebody canceled the project before that happened. Second thing, the parachutes could potentially catch on fire if they're deployed and the capsule flies through an SRB plume. Okay, so don't launch when it's windy. Most rockets don't do that anyway. Most rockets don't launch when it's windy. That, it's kind of a constraint. They, kind of important. And the third one, I forget what it was, but the Skeleton, I'm not trying to dump on you either. Ares 1 was fine. It would have been fine. It would have been just fine. The vibrations would have been a tricky problem to solve, I'll admit. That would have been a hard one. But to sit there and insinuate that NASA wouldn't have figured it out is kind of ridiculous. There's only one way I'd be okay with losing SLS right now, and that would be if we got the same type of mandate for a Star Raker. Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, NASA's fantasy is slapping SRBs to every rocket design. I wonder if SLS's design decision to use SRBs is because they didn't bother to develop a new performant engine. NASA's been saddled with using SRBs because SRBs are quote-unquote cheap, because the same fuel that they use in the SRBs is what we use in our nuclear ICBMs. There's a weird dark plan inside my team to repurpose the power and propulsion element from Gateway as an asteroid redirect warhead. Uses the same propulsion system as DART. In case 2024 YR4 does a Doriftu towards Earth. We did the math that can make it work. Nice. They won't answer, Trey. Bring back Venture Star. All I want is supersized Dream Chaser. But yeah, guys, I agree with Space Engineer here. I agree with what he's saying. I don't think that, conceding cost as a weakness for the SLS program is smart. I really don't think it is. And don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not some crazy SLS fanboy. I like SLS because it's here and it works. Like that. I like rockets that work. That's kind of important for doing that whole spaceflight thing. If we had a cheap and easy alternative for SLS, that'd be fine. But I would be like, okay, let's go with it. But you see, there's a trap there. Every time someone has said, this rocket isn't working, we can do it for cheaper. We can do it for cheaper. We can do it for way cheaper. Every time somebody has proposed that for a rocket that NASA uses, NASA ends up with less capability and saving a ton of money. Cheaper being, I can make a rocket that does half as much for half the price. Proving what I'm saying about linear cost of entry here for rockets. You want to build something that's going to go to the moon. You want to build something that's going to go beyond low Earth orbit with people. You better pony up $30 billion in about 10 years of your time. It does not matter what rocket it is. It doesn't matter. The only time they've ever done that faster is during the Apollo program. But the Apollo program had some good shoulders to stand on with the Mercury and the Gemini program. Look at Elon. Look at SpaceX if you don't believe me about this. Starship came about, what, 2016, 2017? Where are we at now? 2025? We're almost to a functioning prototype. We're almost to the full, a good enough version to at least be minimum viable. If you really want to be generous, you'd say, well, the Starship program in its current form really took off in 2019 when they started building Starhopper. It's Starbase, right? Okay, 6 years. It's going to take another couple of years before you get to human rating it, right? Still, a decade. It doesn't matter. what you're building. It doesn't matter where it's going. If you're going beyond low Earth orbit and you're getting into the super heavy launch business, it's going to cost you $30 billion in about 10 years of your time. Now, what you do with that $30 billion in 10 years of your time does make a big difference. And I think that's where people are kind of bumming about the SLS program. That's what a couple of folks in chat said already, right? You're bumming. You're bumming about it because SLS doesn't do anything. Starship will, which is why there's so many Starship fanboys out there, because Starship actually launches more than once. Anyway, I don't know. We'll move on with the other space news. I got a lot of stuff to get through, dude. So let me put it this way. I think that this is happening not because Boeing is trying to pressure lawmakers to save SLS. If that's the case, NASA and lawmakers in Congress should tell them to get bent. If that's the case. But I highly doubt that. Boeing isn't that stupid. Especially not with Ortberg running the show. I think they're doing this in anticipation of refactoring of SLS contracts. That's what's going on. But Scout was designed for off-the-shelf parts and was chosen for simplicity and cost. Yes, great point of contention, Seacracken, comparing the Scout rocket to the Saturn V. Are you high? You all right? You don't smell toast, do you? You do not have to answer that. Admin is like, yeah. Scout was better than the Saturn V, in your opinion. No, I just thought that would wet your whistle. Next news. This is coming from Firefly. Firefly has been known for their Blue Ghost mission, Ghost Riders in the Sky. It looks like we got ourselves a little bit of a promo video for the next Alpha launch. Let's see what's up. Oh.
DC. Standard. Propulsion. Structures. Fluids. Stage RE.
5, 4,
PB.
3, 2.
Let's 6. Firefly Flight 6, LM400, Lockheed Martin, message booster. All right, looks like that was first and second stage testing right there. Good stuff. What is the Scout rocket, Archie? Scout was a small sat launcher that NASA developed in the early parts of the space program. It's basically a bunch of ICBM first stages kind of stacked on top of each other. Scout was basically playing Kerbal with pre-existing rocket parts, putting it together and making one of the best small sat launchers ever devised. A lot of famous early NASA payloads were launched on that Scout rocket. It's not a bad rocket. It's useless if you want to send people to the moon. Pretty useless. But I also don't know if you saw, NSF will premiere a visit of the Vast Factory in Long Beach in about 20 minutes. Ooh. Neat. Yeah. Message in a booster. Yeah, okay. Brain's moving too fast for mouth. Anyway. Next article here. Let's see. This is another Ars article coming from Stephen Clark. Let's see what we got here. ULA's Vulcan rocket still doesn't have the Space Force's seal of approval. Yeah. I can see that. I can see that for sure. You could say I'm observing it from here. Anyway. Last October, United Launch Alliance, or ULA, started stacking its third Vulcan rocket on a mobile launcher platform in Florida in preparation for a mission for the U.S. Space Force by the end of the year. That didn't happen, and ULA is still awaiting the Space Force's formal certification of its new rocket, further pushing out delivery scheduled for numerous military satellites booked to fly to orbit on the Vulcan launcher. Now, several months after stacking the next Vulcan rocket, ULA started taking it apart. First reported by Spaceflight Now, the destacking will clear ULA's vertical hangar for assembly of an Atlas V rocket, the Vulcan's predecessor, to launch the first batch of operational satellites for Amazon's Project Kuiper internet constellation. This involves removing the rocket's Centaur upper stage, inner stage adapter, and booster stage from its launch mount. Okay, sorry, I was just thinking about something. ULA's facilities at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, Florida, can only handle stacking one rocket at a time. A second assembly building will double this capacity when it comes online this year. Actually, if we go over here real quick, if you want to see that assembly building, the Starlink launch that we watched this afternoon, there it is. There's the assembly building, the Spacecraft Processing and Operations Center, the SPOC for short. Right there. That's their second building that they're building for the rocket. Yeah. See it right there? See how they're extending the roof? They're extending the roof of that building so they could build rockets in it. Is that part of the old Titan facility? Yes. The SPOC is the former solid rocket motor assembly facility, the SMARF, for the Titan ITL complex. Pad 40 and Pad 41, which is over there, were originally built to launch Titan 3 in Titan 2 and Titan 3 variants. Sir, you paused at 420. So? I would have paused at 69, but, you know. Anyway, ULA had hoped to launch as many as 20 missions in 2025, with roughly an even split between its new Vulcan and Atlas V heading for retirement. That would require around one launch every 2.5 weeks. 6 weeks into 2025, ULA's first launch of the year is still a month or more away. The laborious process of certifying a new rocket or spacecraft involves numerous reviews and metaphorical stacks of paperwork. The Space Force's objective with certifying the Vulcan rocket is ensuring it will provide a reliable ride to orbit for the military's most sensitive and expensive satellites. These include spy satellites, missile warning sentinels, and spacecraft for the Global Positioning System. In 2020, the Pentagon awarded ULA and SpaceX a multi-billion-dollar Phase 2 contracts to share responsibilities for launching dozens of national security space missions. At that time, these launches were projected to fly by the end of 2027, although that's unlikely to happen now. Space Force awarded ULA 26 missions worth $4.5 billion under the Phase 2 contract, while 22 missions went to SpaceX's Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. SpaceX started delivering on its Phase 2 contract in January of 2023. The first of ULA's Phase 2 missions launched last year on an Atlas V rocket, and 25 more are slated to fly on Vulcan. Pentagon officials haven't been pleased with ULA's progress on the Vulcan rocket, and we are most displeased with your apparent lack of progress. We shall double our efforts. I hope so, Commander, for your sake. The Orange Man is not as forgiving as I am. Elon, probably. The most evident sign of, sorry. The most evident sign of discontent came in the form of a letter last year to Boeing and Lockheed Martin, ULA's co-owners. Sorry, Frank Cavell. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hopefully that made you laugh. I'm sorry. It was too good. It was too good. It was too good. It was too good. We shall double our launches. I hope so, Commander. I'm sorry. I don't mean to bring politics into it. I'm sorry. It was just too good. Oh my God. All right. Anyway. Frank Cavelli, then the Air Force's Assistant Secretary for Space Acquisition and Integration, wrote that he was growing concerned with ULA's ability to scale manufacturing of its Vulcan rocket and scale its launch cadence to meet our needs. I applaud you. Very, very, very well done. I ain't playing any sides. Like I said before, guys, I just make jokes. Chaotic neutral at best. You know what I mean? At least on here. Sometimes I just like rocking the boat. But in all seriousness, I don't care what your politics are, and you shouldn't care what mine are either. Okay? We'll just leave it at that. Development setbacks delayed the first Vulcan launch by about 4 years before ULA successfully completed the rocket's first demonstration flight in January 2024. At that time, ULA expected to be ready to launch the first military mission on the Vulcan rocket in mid-2024, plus 2 more by the end of the year. These missions are still waiting for their ride to space. Currently, there's military satellite capability sitting on the ground due to Vulcan's delays, Calvelli wrote. Not happy. Yeah, you don't want to piss off the Air Force. You don't want to piss them off. A second Vulcan test flight launched on October 4th, and while the rocket reached its target orbit, it overcame a malfunction in one of the rocket's 2 solid boosters, which lost its extension nozzle moments after liftoff. Looks pretty nice, though. It is a problem when your vehicle is not reusable and you don't have the factory nor pad enough to support it. Yeah. The problem prompted an engineering investigation in parallel with the Space Force's certification process, which required 2 successful flights before clearing Vulcan for operational service. This eliminated any chance of launching the first Vulcan flight for the Space Force by the end of 2024. Tory Bruno, ULA's CEO, told reporters in December that engineers have a pretty good idea what happened with the Northrop Grumman built solid rocket booster, and boosters already in ULA's inventory will require minor modifications to fix the problem. There are insulators that failed that are bonded to the inside of the shell that becomes the nozzle, and we recovered parts of those. Cool. Was EJ backing up his dump truck? It's Starbase Live. Starbase Live. It's so the headset doesn't shut off. So I can hear resubs. The first national security mission on Vulcan, designated SF-106, is set to deploy an experimental navigation satellite for the AFRL, or Air Force Research Laboratory. ULA crews at Cape Canaveral have already stacked the next Vulcan rocket on its mobile launch platform in anticipation of the SF-106 mission. Though the Space Force Systems Command still withholding certification, there's no confirmed launch date for SF-106. So ULA is pivoting to another customer on its launch manifest. Oof. Amazon's first group of production satellites for the company's Kuiper Internet network is now first in line on ULA's schedule. Amazon confirmed last month that it would ship Kuiper satellites to Cape Canaveral from its factory in Kirkland, Washington. Like ULA, Amazon has run into its own delays with manufacturing the Kuiper satellites. These satellites, built to withstand the harsh conditions of space and the journey there, will be processed upon arrival and These spacecrafts, built to withstand the harsh conditions of space and the journey there, will be processed upon arrival to get them ready for launch. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. I thought they were shipping the satellites in pieces, but that's okay. Q2 for SF-106 is what I'm hearing, not ideal. These satellites will bring fast, reliable internet to customers even in remote areas. Stay tuned for our first launch this year. Amazon and the Space Force take up nearly all of ULA's launch backlog. Amazon has 8 flights reserved on Atlas V rockets and 38 missions booked on the Vulcan launcher to deploy about half of its 3,232 satellites to compete with SpaceX's Starlink network. Amazon also has launch contracts with Blue Origin, which is owned by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, along with Arianespace and SpaceX. That's correct. The good news is that ULA has an inventory of rockets awaiting an opportunity to fly. The company plans to finish manufacturing its remaining 15 Atlas V rockets within a few months, allowing the factory in Decatur, Alabama to focus solely on producing Vulcan's launch vehicles. ULA has all the major parts for 2 Vulcan rockets in storage at Cape Canaveral. We have a stockpile of rockets, which is kind of unusual. Normally you build it and you fly it and then you build another one. I would certainly want anyone who's ready to be able to go to space. Space Force officials now aim to finish the certification of the Vulcan rocket in late February or early March. This would clear the path for the SF-106 mission after the next Atlas V. Once the Kuiper launch gets off the ground, teams will bring the Vulcan rocket's components back to the hangar to be stacked again. Space Force has not set a launch date for SF-106, but the service says liftoff is targeted somewhere between April and the end of June, nearly 5 years after ULA won its lucrative contract. That was Stephen Clark at ours. That was a good article. Stephen did a good job. That was really good. And here is the exact thing that another interesting thing to talk about. It's hard to scale with rockets. It's very difficult. There's a lot of bits and pieces that go into making these things, and it's tough to scale those bits and pieces, like propulsion. Costs money. It's expensive. Not that cost should be our reason for do or not doing this. At least when it comes to NASA. With ULA, I suppose, I don't know, I can't really say. Yeah, there's a lot of, you guys picked up on it. Process, this year, maybe the satellites will be processed here, maybe we'll launch on this, maybe this will happen, maybe that'll happen. It's very interesting, guys. This is a very uncertain time for all of spaceflight. I think ULA will end up okay. I think the reason why ULA has been basically silent about everything for a long time is because they're scaling, and scaling takes time. Not only are they scaling, they're retooling for a new rocket and scaling on top of that. That takes time, especially if you basically had a factory operating for 30 years that's designed to produce 10 cores maybe a year that now needs to produce like 40 a year. That's a heck of a ramp. That's a lot of T's to cross and a lot of I's to dot and a lot of bolts to be secured down. That's a lot. That's a big scale. It's going to take some time to do that. SpaceX didn't just start popping out Falcon 9s left and right? But then again, something to ponder here. That's something that somebody already said it in chat, but I was getting to it. Something to ponder here. The reason why SpaceX can support a high flight cadence is because Falcon 9 is reusable. How long until we ULA's gotta stop throwing Vulcans into the ocean? And Steve Ree, I don't think ULA is going anywhere either. Dude, here's the thing. People catch segments of me talking about ULA. People catch segments of me talking about SpaceX or talking about SLS. I will always argue for more rockets. I do not have any other axe to grind. I like ULA. I think they're fine. I think Tory Bruno has done a hell of a job in the last 10 years, considering the absolute clown fiesta he inherited in 2014. He has done fantastic. not only turned the company around to profitability, but turned it around, building a new launch vehicle, spearheading the development of said new launch vehicle, and then scaling on top of it. Dude, ULA in 2014 was like where Boeing is right now. It was not good. The last guy testified to Congress that, a mission that failed actually succeeded, per his flight criteria. And he got made a fool in front of Congress on the congressional record by Elon, and he got canned because of it. And then Tory Bruno replaced him. And what he's been able to do with that company is fantastic. And the best part about this as spaceflight fans, and this is why I always argue for more rockets, dude, there's 40 Vulcans in the pipe, baby. 40 Vulcans. I'll take that. That's good. I'll take that. That's fine with me. You guys don't want to see 40 Vulcan launches? Smart reuse. Expanding the factory. Two processing facilities. Atlas V or Vulcan being launched at the same time. Like, we could just do either one. You don't want that? Oh, I want this. Please. What exactly is smart reuse? ULA is taking, so you see this part right here? From right here down, that part in future versions of Vulcan is jettisonable. And in this part right here, there's an inflatable heat shield. So Vulcan will separate the engine section, like separating the saucer section. More power. I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. They'll separate this, and then they'll have an inflatable heat shield. It'll go through the re-entry with the inflatable heat shield, and it'll deploy parachutes out the bottom, and it'll splash down, and a boat will go pick them up. And before people say, inflatable heat shield, is that a thing? Has that been done? Oh yeah, already been tested. It's called lofted. It's already actually been tested. ULA tested it 2 years ago. Look.
From the central coast of California, this is NASA's JPSS-2.
I have that teed up, David.
Demonstrate a new type of heat shield that inflates.
All right. Yeah, look, see? There it is, inflating on orbit on a Centaur 3. Fighter jets. There it is. You guys see that? That thing flew into space. They've already tested the inflator heat shield. Isn't that cool? Lofted was amazing. They launched this in 2022. I think it was the JPSS-5 mission with Lofted as a secondary payload. Dude, look at it. Can you believe this thing? Look, take a look. This thing has been through re-entry. That's been through re-entry. Does it look like it's been through re-entry? Man, hell no. Dude, during the Lofted post-flight press conference, and don't get me wrong, we haven't heard anything about this since, but during the Lofted post-flight press conference, this was a NASA mission that ULA is working with on doing smart reuse. NASA proposed the idea of reusable Cygnus with an inflatable heat shield. I love it. Please do it. Please do that. Please do that. Reusable Cygnus. Cygnus, the world, every other spacecraft will be retired for being too complicated, and Cygnus will still exist. It was awesome. They only speculated it, but it was still cool. But yeah, that technology exists. Eventually, probably not gonna see it this year, but Vulcan will jettison its engine section with this at the front of it, and it'll re-enter, and the V4s will parachute back down, and they'll fish them out, just like this. It's all Cygnus. Always has been. Use this on Orion? Question? So you're proposing to redesign Orion's heat shield for a third time? Cygnus is the cockroach of space. Sus tweet. What did Eric say? I hope he's not watching. Jeez. Well, I kind of hope he's watching. Anyway. What is that? What the heck? What the heck is this? Also, that's a recent picture, by the way. Yeah, that picture that's new. That's definitely a newer picture. Which is kind of crazy to me. Actually, I don't know. It could be. I mean, Jim has his NASA pin on. Who knows? Anyway. What is the Artemis Group? Space and Defense Government Relations and Strategic Advisory Services. Led by former NASA Administrator and U.S. Congressman Jim Bridenstine, the Artemis Group provides critical government affairs, business development, and strategy advisory services to space and defense companies. Our team has decades of experience shaping spaceflight policy, working at the highest levels of government, and promoting the growth of the commercial space industry through the world. Every day, we bring our depth of knowledge and experiences to bear for the benefit of our clients. Is this a lobbying group? Hmm. Hmm. Strategic consulting, business development, strategic communications, government affairs. Jim is going to lead the counter lobbying group to help ULA and SLS survive. I can already see this narrative forming, Baron. I can already see it. Jim, former NASA administrator under the president, is fighting current NASA administrator for SLS. You know what, dude? Jim's the right guy to spearhead that type of project. You know why? Jim is the only one that got the SLS rocket to launch. Just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. If anybody knows about what it takes to get a space program to work, I'm pretty sure that guy has some experience in it. As a federal employee, it's been hard. It's been a hard couple of weeks. Hard to stay positive about space, but trying. Well, Yum Food, guys, I think everybody's looking at this the wrong way. I think everybody's looking at this the wrong way. You guys got to remember, Jim and the president didn't go out on bad terms. They didn't go out on bad terms. Jim did a damn good job. You know, there is some speculation that he did some things that, you know, president didn't like here and there, right? But he didn't go out on bad terms by any means. If he went out on bad terms, he would have fired him. He didn't, though. This, fellas, I think everybody's looking at this the wrong way. This very, 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 very much. So this is a piece of the puzzle that's confirming what I'm thinking. So think about this, guys. I say that SLS's contracts need to be refactored. They need to be fixed. They're terrible. They are awful. If you know, they got word that that's the kind of position that needs to happen, read this sentence again. And then read all this again. And then look at what this all says. It's not a recent photo. I was going to say, never mind. Jim has his NASA lapel on. It's an older photo. In the primaries, Jim endorsed Florida Man and not Orange Man. Well, I mean, if you guys want to believe it's us versus them, I just think that's playing into the kind of losing strategy. To be honest, the kind of losing strategy that basically is the reason that NASA is in the position that they're in. I think SLS's contracts need to be refactored, and I think that, you know, having Jim there to do that could be super useful. Just personal opinion. Yuri, what is lobbying? Lobbyists, Yuri, are people that pay politicians to do things. Instead of your voice being represented, money is being represented. It's not the best, but SpaceX lobbied the government for years, millions of dollars, to get launch contracts. And why is Cygnus the cockroach of spaceflight? Something got lost in translation there. Cygnus being the cockroach of spaceflight, dude, means that it's the best spacecraft. It never has any problems. It always works, and it's going to survive no matter what. Cygnus has been flying for easily over 10 years and never had an issue. Ever. Eventually, you know, it'll become reusable, and then eventually it'll become human-rated. Cygnus is inevitable. It is the cockroach. It'll just survive. I agree, Manfu. I think this is a very fluid situation for sure. Cygnus on Starship. Yep, there you go. Guys, looking at this from kind of what I'm thinking about what's going to happen with the Artemis program, I honestly think this kind of feeds into it a little bit. I mean, maybe a defensive thing, possibly, who knows. It's possible. Sorry, I needed to open the door. It's getting too hot in here. I think it's getting too hot in here for the computers. So I honestly don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. But there are spaceflight pundits that seem to think it is. As spaceflight fans, that's probably, like I said, it would be catastrophically bad if SLS gets canceled. As spaceflight fans, we should be that's pretty good. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there you go. Check Jack's recent tweet. There's no way you let him get away with this. Mr. Yak? Again, I know what you mean by cockroach of spaceflight, but I wanted to know what Cygnus did and how long it has been running. Cygnus is an ISS resupply vehicle, Yuri. It's an uncrewed ISS resupply vehicle. And it's never had a problem. The only problem it's had is with the vehicle that it's on top of. All right. Thank you for informing me of that tweet, Liz. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Anyway. A solar panel did get stuck once during a launch when a thermal blanket from stage 2 got lodged in it. It still finished the mission because it's awesome. EJ, also about lobbying. I know what lobbying is. If you know what it is, why did you ask it? I'm confused. What are you asking, dude? You just asked me. I mean, a lobbying group. Is it just a company that's lobbying? Yes. A company has to have a lobbying group. Yeah, they act as an intermediary between companies. But I was interested. But I was interested in is lobbying groups just a company that is the only reason to lobby? Yeah, basically, yes. Oh, Jack replied. Oh boy. Here, look at this. It was me. You can play at this game, Mr. Yak.
Go at throttle up.
Okay. Alrighty then. Mr. Yak strikes back. This is fine. This is totally fine. All right. When are we gonna add a Jack tweets alerter to the stream? Oh my god. Okay. Why doesn't Space Coast Live have the... All right, fine. We'll go back to Starbase Live. Is that truck still backing up? No, she's good. All right, cool. Did you see the Neutron Payload User's Guide? Kate, I have not. How will I recover? How much do you think Flight 8 regulations be influenced by the Orange Man? Chavs, how much do I think Flight 8 regulations will be influenced by the president? Yeah, all of them. What? This is a trick question, right? All of them. During the current president's first term, he helped establish the policy that established regulatory framework 450 for to have the FAA do mishap investigations for commercial launches. Yeah, regulatory framework 450 is his policy too. So how much of it? All of it. Not this presidential term's policy though. Trick question. Got him. All right, let me crap post. I got it. We'll go back to Ace. Ace Ventura. This is so bad. Uh, you want to find to train the dolphin, you must think like the dolphin. You must be getting inside the dolphin's head when communicating. I'm saying to Snowflake, okay. And he's saying, okay. And he's up on the leg. And you can quote him. I don't want to. That's weird, Baron. Anyway. You can have whole conversations with Jim Carrey. That's right. You absolutely can. Can I? I didn't have EJ gets into a Jim Carrey GIF post conversation battle with Jack on my bingo card today. Okay. I'm amazed you remember the dolphin skit. Well, it's just in the hard drive. You just gotta access the hard drive. There's a lot up there. I got you. I sent you the user's guide to you on Discord. Oh yeah? The one that's right there? This one? Does this make you happy? Good. Well, we're not doing that right now. Shoot. Got other news from Firefly. I want to talk about Firefly. Let's talk about Firefly. By the way, is Cygnus just also a small ISS module with its structure? It's derived from ISS modules, Yuri. Yeah, it's made by Thales Alenia, the pressure vessel. If it looks like an ISS module, yeah. It's an ISS module with a service module attached to the back. Very simple. Hey, I wasn't the who asked about it. Me neither. So, update from Firefly Aerospace. Our Ghost Riders in the sky. Completed Blue Ghost's first trajectory correction maneuver following translunar injection. Like lane protection on the highway, these burns help keep us on course during our transit on the moon. The guardrail doesn't keep you on the road. Oh, lane protection. Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, all right, I get it. I get it. Lane protection. Yeah, like a car with the lane assist. I got it. First TCM TLI, let's go. Yeah, man. That's cool. The Blue Ghost 1 mission is coasting out to the moon. Very good. Go for hamster TLI. All right. What's this next one? NASA to continue using Artemis crew transport vans from bankrupt men. Oh, yeah, that's right. Canoe went under, by the way. Didn't see that one coming. Yeah, Canoe went under. Turns out not even a juicy government contract from NASA to produce three of those was enough to keep that company afloat. That's a shame. To be 100% honest with you, I don't mind the canoes. Those look like toasters. Canoe had a really awesome idea for a post van, and they honestly should have gotten the contract for the post van. For like the next generation mail vehicle. Those are perfect mail van size. Look at them again. Perfect. Yep. They did produce the 3 cars for what it's worth. How much caffeine have you had today? No more than usual. To be fair, they did deliver the vehicles on time and on budget, which is rare. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. And they're not bad. I mean, I guess. They're, you know, it's good-ish. NASA expects to continue using the electric vans it acquired to transport astronauts to the pad Artemis missions, even though the vehicle's manufacturer has gone out of business. See, once again, I'm not necessarily a fan of these, but I do like Canoe. So what they were trying to do, what Canoe was trying to do, I'll just give you a little background here before we read the article. What they were trying to do is make one chassis for an electric vehicle and make as many different type of cars as you could put on that chassis. I'll be 100% honest with you. I'll be 100% honest with. I'll be a 100% honest with you. That's not a bad idea. It's really not a bad idea, because then you're scaling around one chassis and just build a different body. That's not the worst idea. It really isn't. I mean, I don't even know if their website is still up. We'll see. Yeah, they were just, I mean, their website showed it really well, but I highly doubt that their website is around anymore. But see, look. They had, three different, well, that was a concept. They had this singular chassis, and they were trying to build as many vehicles as they possibly could. There was a car vehicle, there's a minivan vehicle, which is what NASA has. There was a mail van vehicle. This thing right here, a mail van, which is perfect. Perfect. Please do that. That's perfect. That's a perfect size for a freaking mail van. But no, we gave it to, they gave it to Oshkosh, who makes those. I mean, that is pretty cool, but anyway, but I never thought they would be good as crew transport vehicles, to be honest with you. Oh, we got another notification. Nope, it's just a like. Anyway, so I thought what Canoe was doing was actually a pretty cool idea. That was a pretty awesome idea. It just, I don't know why they went bankrupt. Let's read the article and see. Canoe, however, filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy liquidation January 17th, citing the inability to secure capital from a Department of Energy loan program or other sources. The company said it would immediately cease operations while a court-appointed trustee managed the liquidation of the company's assets. Oh. Canoe had long touted the NASA contract, despite its small size, as evidence of interest in its electric vehicles. We'd like to thank NASA, the DoD, and the U.S. Postal Service. Yeah, see, they were in the running for the Postal Service, and they gave it to Oshkosh. They gave it to Oshkosh, who's going to... Want to get angry? Oshkosh is designing the next generation post van, right? To be with they're going to build a ton of those things with, and they have diesel engines in them. And then the contract said that after that, they're going to start producing electric variants of them. And they'll take all the diesel variant post vans back and then re-equip them with electric motors over the course of the next 15 years. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, cool. I can see your face through the camera going, what? What? They're going to do what? Yeah, that's great. Now they're converting into electric vehicles. It's green, right? It's green. Dude, just make them all diesel. Stop coping. For the love of God. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway. Yeah, that's my face. Just, okay. No, canoe though. Yeah, that sucks. Like I said, actually would have made a great mail van. I'm just saying, I don't think that this is necessarily the right thing for NASA. What I really think NASA should have taken, and what I really think NASA should have taken for their crew transport vehicle is this. Here, let me show you. Would have been great. Just saying. Really good. Plenty of space. Just saying. Just putting it out there. You forgot about the 9,250 E-Transit vans they are buying to pick up the slack in the production rate. Dude, just buy the Fords for the hell. It's so tiresome. It's so tiresome. Oh, their Insta is still up? Nice. I think a Rivian van would have been the perfect NASA crew transportation vehicle, to be 100% real. That would have been excellent. Here, let me try the other image sharing site. Oh, wait, no. Never mind. Anyway, I have entered companies complain about how bad the mattress is. The mattress is a piece of junk, Bill. Echoing your words, every single person I've ever heard. If I mention mattress in the stream, somebody will pop out of the woodwork and be like, oh, my God, that thing's a piece of junk. Just like that. With that accent, too. No, you gotta sign into Instagram. So if you want to see the pictures, I mean, they get that, so they can take all your personal information and sell it. So you could see a picture. Can we go back to making newspapers, please? At least the newspaper doesn't want your personal info. The newspaper just gives you a piece of paper with a bunch of pictures on it. Just saying, might not be the worst idea. It's better than that crap. Better than that heaping pile of... Anyway. Here is the mail van design. Dude. Oh, we could have had this. People gave Canoe a lot of crap, including me, but honestly, that's a really good idea. One vehicle, one chassis that makes a bunch of different vehicles. That's pretty damn smart. That looks ridiculous, but also, not the worst. Dude, see, look. It looks great. Dude, that's the mail van I want, not... Get out of here. But no. Canoe had to go under. And gosh. Anyway. Yeah. That is probably the ugliest vehicle I have ever seen in my life. Yeah, it's awful. Just horrible. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to harp on Oshkosh. It's just, you have an electric vehicle company over here that's looking to scale, has a business plan about scaling, right? That has an idea for a really nice post van. And then you have a company over here that specializes in building heavy equipment for the military. Yeah. I mean, anyway, it sucks that Canoe went under. It sucks. But what are you going to do? Dunk on the looks all you want, but it's supposedly really comfortable to use. Which, if you're in there for 8 hours a day, I'd rather be comfortable. And a Rivian or a Canoe wouldn't be? You think that doesn't look as cozy? That's the 2.0 Fiat Multipla. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They look the same. So bad. It's so bad. Yeah, see? Canoe was just trying to scale everything around this. Around their chassis, man. Smart. We can't forget this banger tweet. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I know I don't mean to make space news just me venting the whole time, but I'm getting. I had only so much of tolerance for this nonsense, and then the Viper cancellation was the tipping point. That's when I was like, okay, I've had enough. I'm sick of participating in this clown fiesta. I'm just gonna call it like it is. Anyway. The company had faced some financial problems for some time. Shortly after winning the NASA contract for the vans in 2022, the company noted a going concern? Wait, what is this? The company noted a going concern. Yeah, that's got to be growing. A going concern warning in regulatory filings because of continued losses that raised substantial doubt the company could continue operations for the next year. Executives at the time said they were working on raising additional capital. The bankruptcy filing raised questions about the future use of the vans delivered to NASA. With the company out of business and only a small number of vehicles sold, the ability to maintain these vehicles appeared unclear. Appears? Where's the bleach? That truck is hideous. All right. Hold up, guys. Hold up. I got you. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I got you. Here, I got some, we'll get some eye bleach here for a second. Here. How about I show a picture from yesterday that Pat linked? Here, see? Look. Yeah. See? Look. Sorry about the Dodge Ram being in the photo. We just got two Chad pieces of engineering right here. Box body Ford. Looks better than the mail van, despite it being designed by a person who only used a ruler. Okay? And also, L-1011. L-1011 TriStar. That launches rockets into space. See? These trucks were designed by somebody who only had a ruler, and that's fine. That's okay. Proof that you could design a car with a ruler and have it look, or a vehicle with a ruler and have it look okay. There are other cases that I can think of where they use, where they use the ruler and it didn't really. Sorry, I'm just kind of being a little savage today. Last for going concern. Going concern. What does that mean? A going concern is accounting term for a business that is assumed will meet its financial obligations when they become due. Oh, yeah. No, that didn't happen here. Maddie, is this sufficient enough? Is this good? We good? Yeah? Pretty good, right? Truck and TriStar. These are two of my favorite things right there. Seriously, the L1011's up there with like my favorite airliners. Concorde is first. 747 second. All right. Convair 990 Coronado is third. TriStar is fourth. Yeah. What do you mean? This totally went well. Okay. Pontiac Aztek is a gorgeous SUV. Come on. Yuri, so if Jim Bridenstine is advisor for space activity, can I ask his group for ideas for KSP rockets? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Jack did good getting that picture. I agree with Shell. Yep, I agree. Very much. All right, what else we got? NASA for now plans to continue using the vehicles. Our vehicles are in working order for use during training activities and mission preparations. NASA has worked with the manufacturer to train teams at Kennedy to operate and maintain many of the elements, and the agency will review those plans as needed. The vehicles are part of the Exploration Ground Systems program, which provides infrastructure needed to support Artemis missions. Brad McCain, Vice President and Deputy Program Manager for the EGS program at Amentum, the lead contractor for EGS, said after a panel at the Spacecom conference on January 29th that the program was in discussion with officials at Canoe on ways to continue support for the vans after the company's bankruptcy. The vans are presently only used by the Artemis program, which has yet to conduct a crewed launch. Boeing worked with Airstream to develop Astrovan 2, an updated version of the shuttle-era Astrovan for its Starliner commercial crew missions. SpaceX uses vehicles from Tesla for transporting astronauts to the crew pad for Crew Dragon launches. Terminator, you were speaking with your neighbor about the new flying lab that she's the director of. The plane will have some cool equipment on it. I was wondering why she moved to Virginia, and that's because the new plane is being retrofitted in Virginia. Cool. News break. I know you won't cover it because of the life loss, but apparently the crash earlier is Vince Neal's private plane. He wasn't on it at the time. Is that the one that hit the other plane on the on the ground? Go back to the Eisenhower freight truck. Why does everybody want me to see that thing all of a sudden? Wait, like Vince Neal from... Like... That Vince Neal. Oh. Okay. I guess trucks are cool. The pilot was killed, sadly. Yeah, there was a plane crashed into another plane on the taxiways. It wasn't in flight like the other one. Anyway, more news here. This is coming from VAST, which NSF just had a interview with. Looks like Das went down there for a little bit. Haven 1 primary structure qualification article at VAST's Mojave test site with SpaceX's Falcon 9 lighting up the evening sky. Haven 1's future ride. So this is a space station module that VAST is working on that's going to be launched on Falcon 9 with a Falcon 9 launching in the background. That's pretty cool. It was landing and the gear on the left side came off. Rip. Beltbox, a family friend of yours worked for TWA at JFK, and I got to fly their TriStar simulator as a kid. I am super jealous of that. It may even launch on that specific Falcon 9. Not sure if they have a booster planned or not. Yeah. Staged. Quite. Morgdahl. Yes. Quite. That. Yes. Staged. There. That is a second stage. So over the weekend, Electron launched Rocket Lab launched their Electron rocket, the IoT-4. IoT-4 things. Here's a picture of that. This happened over the weekend. Headphone users, you might want to, Luke, I missed when rocket launchers were huge news. Starships are pretty huge news. They're also a huge rocket. Anyway, headphone users, you have 10 seconds to comply. That's not too bad. IoT for you and me. That was pretty cool. I was shoveling snow when that thing took off, so, that's good. But, the next mission is already teed up here. Take a look. Fasten your seatbelts. Electron is going to space for Black Sky once again. Next launch from LC-1 is net February 18th. February 19th in New Zealand. There you go. Peter Beck's doing work. Speaking of that, we have a little video here, and Rocket Lab also just now released the Neutron Rocket's Payload User's Guide. What the heck does this mean? Well, the Payload User's Guide is something that you release to let people know, like, what type of payloads can launch on your rocket. You only really release this when you have a really, really good idea what the rocket's going to look like and what its capability is going to be. Super cool, actually. You can see that Neutron has the first stage, right? And then there's an interstage right here. And then the second stage is hanging inside of the interstage. And then there's a payload fairing on the top that can open and close. Give me 1 second, dudes. Based on this, what is Neutron's most similar payload-wise? Antares would probably be a good competitor. Anyway, yeah, the second stage rides inside of the payload fairing, and the payload fairing is attached to the first stage. Really, really interesting design. Interesting concept for satellites there. Tank Farm is active in Massey's. We're getting some Ship 34 testing today. Yeah. Oh, this has a bunch of good data about, the first stage and the second stage, which is pretty awesome. Downrange landing maneuver. I love how everybody's got to have a different name for this. Downrange landing maneuver, DRL, drone ship landing. Ooh. Ooh, I'm gonna have to go through this. I'm gonna have to go through this a little bit later. Good stuff. Hit the like button for EJ. Oh, if you want to. If you don't want to, it's fine. I don't care. Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm. Nice. If you got that, good for you. Go to the integration step page. ¿Qué página, amigo? ¿Qué página? No like button on Twitch. Well, you could just give it. You could just actually like give me a thumbs up. Just put your thumb up to the computer. I can see it. I can see it. Hey, thanks, man. Hey, that's the middle fit. You suck. Hey, all right.
This is space. I'm in space.
Hey, thanks, man. See? See? I told you somebody was flipping me off. Ridiculous. Page 43. Oh, thank you.
This is space. I'm in space.
Okay, give this up to Great Toothless Land Shark, and you had 5 before that. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the thumbs up. I appreciate it, guys. And thank you if you did thumbs up the YouTube video. But what the hell? So, Bill, they mate the payload to the PLF, or to the payload adapter. No, payload attachment fitting. Payload processing goes satellite to payload attachment fitting. Then it's put inside a clean room enclosure. They put the second stage inside of Neutron, and then they put the enclosure in Neutron. What the hell? Why would you... the inner stage is removable from the... Oh, okay. Maybe because of the bridge weight issue that leads to wallops. It's a good guess, Hokey. That's a really good guess, actually. That's probably the exact reason. So, yeah, this is like Delta 2. Yeah. Like Delta 2 style. That's, what else does this? Antares does something kind of similar to this, too. I don't know if they figured that out. Considering their factories across the bridge, I'm pretty sure they took that into account. I would hope they took that into account, man. You have to put the enclosure in another enclosure to ensure it's enclosed for the enclosing process. Obviously. In the PUG, they said that Archimedes can only throttle till 65% for first and second stage. It's kind of terrible. It will do a suicide burn and then really need to fine-tune their GNC and shut down timers. I think they'll get it, dude. Give me the thumbs up back to Twitch. Thanks, Steve. Panther!
This is space. I'm in space.
Mr. Panther. Huh. That's, Phil, that's a very interesting way to do it. Okay, but seeing the upper half on a truck like that is going to look weird.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. This works to help, right? More for lift?
Oh, yeah. John, that... You guys, paid enough for the lift, like, a long time ago. I just, after tax season, we'll do it. Yeah. After tax season. They put the payload on the PAF, put a cover on it, attach the PAF to the second stage, then remove the enclosure. Well, yeah. They... No, the PF in the enclosure goes on stage 2, which is already inside of... Honda? Honda. Did you hear that? Hold on. Hold on, let me turn it up. That sounded like a K-24. Could have been a bike. That could have been a bike. CBR 600 maybe? Is all the fuel on the core module? Yeah, that's on this thing. Yeah, this is just interstage. So here, take a look. Yeah, see? See what I mean? This piece separates right here. Yeah, I see it, 12. I see it. I don't know. Don't worry about it. Appreciate it, though, man. I knew EJ would be able to identify a car just by the sound. Can I hear that one more time? That's Starbase Live. Somebody just pulled away from Starbase. Hold on. Let's listen. Ready? We gotta listen close. I don't know, man. It's definitely a Honda engine. Pitch is too high. That torpedo's Russian. If it was a Subaru, it'd be lower. That would sound. It would be a deeper noise. But it definitely sounds like a bike when he throttles it. When the guy throttles it, or girl, when they throttle it up, it definitely sounds like a bike. But it doesn't sound like a bike pulling away. My guess would be a CBR 600. Yeah, when it has that noise, you can hear the bike start doing bike things. What in the flying starship exploding frick is this? I don't know. Look at this Honda. What is that? Yeah, exactly. I have a new instructor that started recently, and he worked for SpaceX for about 5 years, both in Florida and at Starbase. The stories he has. Oh, cool. Neat.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Oh yeah, Joe Ratch. Pitch is too high. Torpedoes Russian. I'm serious. You could tell different engines by the sound. Different engines make different sounds.
Go and throttle up.
Dude, I can tell you what kind of engine is just by the starter cranking over. That's what happens when you get dropped on your head as a child too many times. Are those even cars? I don't know. Don't know. Don't care. Okay, well, everybody seems to be about Massies, including people that ride CBR 600s. So let's get into some Starship stuff. There's a picture of Ship 34 as it was rolling out. You want some scale. There's the integration team right there. Okay. 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 All right. All right. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. That's fair. So, if you want the scale of these things, look at the truck, and then look at the humans, and then look at the starship. This picture was taken by Starship Gazer, and Elon actually reposted it. Yeah, they might look weird, but at least it doesn't look like a shoe and have a Mustang label smacked on them. That is a fair point. That is a fair point, my friend. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Give me 1 second, guys. I just got to check something. Okay, let's get into the next thing that we have here. So a little bit more SpaceX news here. Oh no, that's not it. Here we go. Actually, we'll check on Starbase Live right now. So, go away. Go away. Good. All right. Ship 34, it was on the transport stand. It's out at Massey's right now. Massey's is the test site, and we're looking to maybe see a static fire. That's kind of the other reason why I have the audio on here. Which is pretty good. So I'll keep that on in the background, and we'll see what happens. Now, here's a picture from RGV aerial looking at the trench. It looks like the trench for Pad B has been fully excavated. Once again, coming from RGV, takes excellent aerial photos here. It looks like they got most of it excavated out. Will this be the first time we had a nighttime static fire for Starship? Yeah, maybe. Is this the first night static fire attempt since 20? Yeah, probably. Crazy. Oh, hang on 1 second. Cool. All right. Not quite. The middle still has a way to go. Do you think so? I think all the pilings there, I think that these are just the mounts for where they're going to put the buckets on there, but who knows? I recall SN8 doing one at night, and the martite or concrete or whatever broke and flew everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. So you can see the commodity lines are right here. This is the fuel and oxidizer lines for the second pad. They'll eventually go like over here and then around. The pilings went all the way to the ends. Maybe. I'm still wondering what the heck this slab is for. The trapezoidal slab right there. I'm wondering what that's about. Because we saw people do some renders a little while back of a pyramidal mount. So like, the plate was right here. The OLM obviously was like right here in that, and it was actually like up in the air, and it looked like 39A. It looked like a mound, which is interesting. That's for the booster quick That's for the booster quick disconnect. They're staging the steel for it. That all of this right here? Just Chrome Kiwi has a render. Thank you, Midgie. He's talking the pad. Oh. New steel stage next to the flame trench on pad B. This is most likely to start framing up the steel grid to support and contain commodities in the trench and booster quick disconnect. Yeah, see? This is what I'm talking about, dude. Interesting. Interdasting. Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about, dudes. What is that right there? The steel is over there. That's what I mean. This all kind of looks to me like the OLM is going to be like raised up in the air, a pretty high distance. Probably not as high as pad A, but it's definitely up there. And you can see where the commodities trench comes in, like I was saying, it comes in over here and then goes that way. Why is that pad so big compared to the tower? Graham, to be 100% honest with you, I have my thoughts about why this pad is so big, but I don't know if people want to hear those. I don't know if people want to hear them. I hear talk about the quick disconnect being separate from the OLM. Interesting. My theory is that this is kind of a standardization, and they're standardizing it around pads that they're going to build future Starship drawworks on. That pad is the exact, or that trench is the exact same width as 39A. I don't think that's a coincidence. And if it is, well, pretty dang convenient coincidence, but who knows? Interesting. Good renders from Chrome Kiwi and stuff. So the other thing I was going to say is that on top of the Ship 34 Massey's testing, we hang on one second. There was a booster static fire. There was a booster static fire over the weekend. That's a pretty long burn, huh? What does NSF stand for? Dwarf Nation, NSF stands for NASA Spaceflight. NASA Spaceflight is a company that I do, I kind of work for on the side. It's my side hustle to the stream. I am a host and a commentator for NSF. So I show their footage here to promote the channel. They're it's a YouTube channel and Spaceflight Forum. All good, man. Yeah, dude, go subscribe to NSF if you want to see stuff like this, dude. That truck noise that you're hearing in the background is some of their live streams. You could see live streaming what's going on at Starbase right now. Now, I know this doesn't look like much. It's nighttime, but you could, like, during the day, here, let's rewind to a little bit earlier in the day. They have live streams 24/7 from Starbase. Like, you could see Ship 32 getting scrapped. right there. That's an old Starship that they never used. Ship 31 was on Flight 6, and then Ship 32 was scheduled for Flight 7, but they said, screw it, we don't need this, and used Ship 33 instead, which is the Block 2 version of Starship. You can learn all that from NSF. Yeah, man. It's good stuff. But yeah, right now it's nighttime out in the deep south of Texas. Is the tank farm active for a static fire? That's what it looks like. Hey, Waz, 44-month resub. Much love from Ottawa. Starship's pretty neat. I agree. Starship's pretty cool. Look, there they are moving the booster to the pad before they're moving it to the pad before they static fired it. This was on Saturday. So you see this camera right here that's next to the Rio Grande Valley Civil War Trail sign? Yeah, you see that one? I helped set up this camera, Dwarf. I helped set up the camera that's on this trailer. It's not crooked, I swear. It's not crooked. Yeah, I've actually went out there and maintained some of the equipment for NSF like a month ago. You must love being there. Oh, dude. Man, I really, I know that stuff's a little touch and go now with real life. I get it. Could be a little bit stressful, but I really, really do appreciate it when there is rockets, or when there are rockets that you have to look up into the sky to try and see the top of it when it's going by you and get vertigo from it. That's pretty neat. Woof. Woof. Look at that freaking thing, man. You get it, you're 30 miles out of Cape Canaveral. Right on, man. I went to college in Winter Park, dude. So, yeah, no. I know what you mean. Love this stuff, man. We could do it all day. The Cape is hollowed ground for me, dude. I don't know about you. Yeah, it's really weird, Archie. Yeah, right. All right. What else do we got? So SpaceX did get another contract from NASA. NASA selected SpaceX of Starbase Texas to provide launch service for the agency's Pandora mission, which will study at least 20 known exoplanets and their host stars to find out how changes in stars affect our observations of exoplanet atmospheres. Cool. Falcon 9 got another contract. Let's see. So this is coming from NASA Commercial Crew. NASA and SpaceX are accelerating the target launch and return dates for the upcoming crew rotation mission to and from the space station. Crew 10 launch is now targeted for March 12th, pending mission readiness and completion of flight readiness. All right. Another LSP mission, yep. That's like 20 in a row. Should not be Falcon 9, it's Falcon 9. Yeah. Cool. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, Aqualex, I want to see what you said about the boosters. A separate QD and OLM would go with the huge shift towards modularity we see with the rest of the equipment being installed. They're designed for easy swapping of components for repair and upgrade compared to their first build. Yep.
Discovery, go and
Yeah,
throttle up.
exactly, dude. That's exactly it, man. I think SpaceX knows that they know that they don't know. You know what I mean? Or do you not? they know that they're going to need to upgrade it in the future. So they're kind of compartmentalizing everything out and making Pad B is very modular. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's right. That's correct. Falcon 9 winning another contract is like Peter Griffin playing Drink the Beer. Let's play a game, Peter. What's it called? It's called Drink the Beer. All right, I did it. What do I win? Another beer. Now I'm sad Starship won't launch a satellite to study exoplanets. Yet. Yeah, you're only going to be sad for a little bit, Archie. Jeez. Yeah, I see you guys talking, and I see the bunch of people talking to Twitch chat. I don't know why. There's a lot of Finns that watch this stream, and it's okay. I like Finns. Kimi Räikkönen was my favorite race car driver in F1. He still is. Even though he does not drive anymore. That is just crying shame, but I guess he decided that he was going to get bored of driving the race car. Yeah, Grim. Yeah, exactly. I decided not going to use the racing vehicle no more. That is just a damn shame. Ketos. Thank you for watching. Opinion of bot ass. He's got a mullet. Can't hate guys with a mullet. Can't hate it. He's got a mullet and a mustache. That's hilarious. Gotta respect it. Gotta respect him. Gotta respect it, dude. Gotta respect it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Business up front, party in the back. Literally the El Camino of haircuts. All right. I think that is all. Do we want to sit here and watch, go Texas Tank watching? Or do we want to get back into workers, dudes? F1 isn't cool. They didn't have ads in the Super Bowl like Indy. You know what's better than a mullet? A low taper fade. Can you imagine if Bottas had a low taper fade? Bonus space. How about I have Starbase Live on in the background, which, what the hell is that thing? How about I have Starbase Live on in the background and we play some workers? Aircraft fans are wondering. I see what it's supposed to do, looks like I get it. It's supposed to... It's... What's the name of the damn thing? What was the... What was the name of the, I'm totally blanking on the name. The Rotol or something? It was a helicopter, but it had, like, forward-facing propeller engines, and it could take off like a helicopter and then fly like an airplane. No, Vertibird. No, it wasn't a V-22. It wasn't a V-22. They are Aqualex. They're definitely electric. That's, No, it's not a V-22. The helicopter blades were fixed. It was a single helicopter blade fixed on the top and two propeller engines facing forward. The Rotax? No, that's not it. What the hell's the name of that thing? Now I'm annoyed. Hold on. Can this guy's been backing up this truck for like 6 hours straight. Give me 1 second, I'll find it. This is, it was in a mustard video. That thing. No. No, that's not it. It's that thing. You're good. You're good. You're good. Yeah. The Rotodyne, that thing. It's that, but with electric motors. The Fairy Rotodyne, yes. That. It works like that.
And I really believe without change, we are at risk of losing. Risk of losing our competitive advantage in a highly contested environment.
Yeah, maybe we should have kept making F-22s if we were worried about... Oh, wait, no, never mind. We can't do that. It's too expensive.
Risk of losing our credibility with our joint teammates and our allies and partners. Risk of losing quality airmen and their families if we don't change as an Air Force. But most importantly, our ability to defend our national interests.
The F-35 is way better. Can you put a price on national security, Dwarf? Why not both?
Ability to move through the air has done phenomenal things for the security of our nation. If we can find new ways of doing that, one, it's not just a national security capability, but right, it literally lifts us up and lifts us up as a force. And I think it's that opportunity to democratize air travel for our airmen and for our nation. That's exciting.
Democratize air travel. Yeah. Okay. I vote to have my own B-52.
In that strategic context, if there is an entirely new way of doing mobility in the air, we have to be in the middle of that. We have to make sure that we understand what the implications are. We have to see how we build that as a capability for our Department of the Air Force. And Agility Prime is all about the partnership with the commercial sector, making sure we are finding the greatest technologies out there to advance our mobility in the air. So we've had over 20 different companies that have applied to this air race to certification. How many of those 20 will be viable? Does that become 30 or 40? There are over 300 companies that have designs out there. Air Combat Command is interested in the personnel recovery, phenomenal mission, and really phenomenal innovation among the airmen, thinking about that mission, how they might use this. Interesting things that kind of came out of that, and this goes back a little bit to the broader strategy of these dual-use technologies. When I'm looking at a future where we fly orbs into a new era of aerospace, I need those from a commercial perspective if I want broad access.
We've been so fortunate to be able to partner with the Air Force through the Agility Prime program. I mean, it's an extension of the team, and to be able to have access to the aviators that and engineers that the Air Force has, it's, I mean, world class, right? It's accelerated us not only commercially because of the validation that comes from the world's greatest Air Force says, look, we want to operate your plane. But also just the real hard work that goes into building a plane to be augmented with folks from the Air Force has been huge.
We're starting to see this collaboration again, and that team development
You're
in
3D
this,
printing a
this era of
C-17?
aerospace that we see allows an acceleration. Part of the question is, are there ways of simplifying that? And so electric vertical takeoff and landing has potentially some advantages. With electric, I have fewer moving parts mechanically. I have less hydraulic parts, so that reduces, in general, the idea is there's going to be reduced operations and maintenance. With electric, I'm able to control more effectively my acoustic signature. And then the other piece is to simplify vehicle operations.
When we fly a Leon flight test campaign, it's 0 emissions through the tailpipe, which is pretty remarkable. You can do things in a way that's both commercially viable and sustainable. They're not mutually exclusive. Like, at the end of the day, we see this partnership as an opportunity to serve the members of the Air Force and to make us a better product and ultimately help us be commercially successful along the way. The Air Force brought in a bunch of global experts to do ground vibration testing on this on serial number 2. And they set up all the equipment, they brought in all the experts, and for a month they did a full complement ground vibration test, which for a small aerospace startup is kind of unheard of, right? It would have cost us tens of millions of bucks. We would have had to take the aircraft somewhere else. So to be able to lean into Air Force Research Labs, the accelerant there is just huge.
While it's been exciting to see the Air Force team come together and the industry team come together, I'm thrilled to see the interagency, the collaborative work with NASA, with the FAA, Department of Energy, think about new approaches to electric. So I see an energy in the nation that's going to push this industry forward.
Unlike traditional aerospace, the performance is only going to get better over time, but as new battery technologies come out, we'll put them in the aircraft and extend range, extend payload, etc. But right now, it's the limit of what Mother Nature will let us do. When you bring that together, you can do pretty awesome things. So our focus is building the best product we can to change the future of aviation.
What's phenomenal, and I think what has been impressive across the enterprise that we're working with on the Agility Prime broader team, is the level of openness that these companies have, the level of maturity that they have, and that creates the agility we need in our future Air Force.
So, look, man, that's cool. That's neat. I think that's pretty cool. But I do have one question. What happens when somebody shoots that at close range and a bullet pierces your lithium batteries? What's going to happen then? I'm just asking. Because, you know, like, you can hit a fuel tank and it, you know, can go through the fuel tank and it'll seal, right? What happens when somebody hits one of those things with small arms fire? Hybrid, like a diesel electric locomotive. Yeah, that's not what he said. That seemed to be all electric. They had a charging station for it and everything. Oh, it explodes mostly. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure someone's thought of that. That's why I just genuinely, you know. Ship is getting ready to do a static fire. All right. We'll tank watch here for a second. See what we got. Armor-plated batteries make the vehicle heavier on top of it already being heavy because you put electric motors and batteries on it. You're going to get worse performance doing that. Am I thinking about this incorrectly? Find the shooters for environmental crimes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the first planes that they showed are really good at doing that in Explore. Yeah, Ship 32 is in pieces. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. And Agalex, you were saying I'd be on board with a diesel, like a gas turbine electric plane. That'd be cool. Sure, absolutely, great idea. Maybe even with a redundancy of like direct shaft horsepower to the rotor mechanism, just in case. Like, that would be kind of cool. A little complicated, but also pretty cool. Yeah, Tessa, for sure. I mean, there's no way they didn't think of it. But either way, still a little strange. Because it's a lot of mass. Yeah, exactly. That's just adding a lot of things to an already complicated system. He said shaft. Yep. So I believe NASCAR is going to get new engine suit and a new OEM. They're adding a lot of stuff to the engine this year, like torque sensors and stuff. Oh, cool. Oh, neat, Bandit. That's cool. Nuclear electric would be sick, dude. So once again, this footage is coming from Starbase Live. Starbase Live is operated by my buddies over at NSF. They're doing a live commentary of this right now, but once again, if you, I would invite you to go their way if you want to do some Texas tank watching. But we're getting up to 8:30, and that was a good 3 hours of space news. I am going to jump back over to play Workers and Resources now. So I'm going to jog the VOD over on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, just stay here. For what it's worth, if you want to stay with me, I will have this up, so when it does static fire, we will see it. Yeah, I know the pros and cons, man. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, I will be right back. We're starting part 2 of the Yakograd. The Yakograd Republic. I'll be right back 1 second. Stand by for loss of signal on YouTube as expected. I'll be back momentarily.